Everyone thinks the biggest wealth opportunities disappear the moment everyone hears about them. Bitcoin, artificial intelligence, the stock market after a crash. By the time your social media feed starts celebrating them, the easy money is usually gone. So when people ask, what's the biggest opportunity left in 2026? They're asking the wrong question, because history shows something uncomfortable. The greatest fortunes rarely come from discovering a secret investment. They come from seeing what everyone else is ignoring. And right now, almost everyone is looking in the wrong direction. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the biggest wealth opportunity in 2026 isn't a stock, a cryptocurrency, or some AI startup. It's something far more powerful. And once you see it, you won't be able to look at money the same way again. But to understand why, we need to answer one question first. If everyone has access to the same information, why do only a tiny percentage actually become wealthy? Imagine it's the year 2036. Two friends sit down for coffee. Both earned similar salaries. Both graduated from college around the same time. Both lived through the same economy. Yet one quietly became financially independent. The other is still waiting for the next big opportunity. What happened? It wasn't intelligence. It wasn't luck. It wasn't even income. The difference started years earlier, with what each person believed wealth actually was. Because here's the trap. Most people think wealth comes from finding the perfect investment, the perfect business, the perfect market, the perfect timing. It's like standing in front of a slot machine hoping this pull will finally change everything. Spoiler alert, Wall Street thanks you for your donation. If your investment strategy can be summarized as, this guy on TikTok seemed confident, we need to have a serious conversation. The financial industry has become incredibly good at selling excitement. Every week there's a new miracle stock, a new AI revolution, a new recession prediction, a new market crash, a new market recovery, a new reason to panic, a new reason to buy. Notice something? The story changes. The business model doesn't. Attention has become one of the world's most profitable industries, and your fear is one of its favorite products. That's why millions of people spend years jumping from trend to trend, without ever building meaningful wealth, because they're constantly reacting. Instead of positioning, here's the mindset shift that changes everything. Wealth isn't built by chasing where money was yesterday. It's built by understanding where capital must go tomorrow. That's a completely different game. And in 2026, one massive shift is quietly forcing trillions of dollars to move. Most people see the headlines. Almost nobody sees the second-order effects. And that's exactly where fortunes are created. So what is this shift? It isn't artificial intelligence. At least, not in the way most people think. Because the real opportunity isn't the technology everyone is talking about. It's the economic transformation happening underneath it. And once you recognize that, you'll start seeing opportunities hiding in plain sight. Coming up next, the wealthiest investors don't ask, what's hot? They ask one completely different question. And that single question could change how you invest for the rest of your life. The wealthiest investors rarely begin with a company. They begin with a trend that is too powerful to stop. Because when an economic shift is inevitable, capital has no choice but to follow. That's the biggest wealth opportunity left in 2026. Not chasing headlines, but identifying the systems that the future depends on. Think about electricity a century ago. The biggest winners weren't necessarily the people who first heard about electricity. The biggest winners were the people who understood how it would reshape entire industries. Today we're living through another transformation. Artificial intelligence is changing how businesses operate. Automation is rewriting productivity. Data has become one of the world's most valuable assets. Governments are investing billions. Companies are racing to modernize before competitors leave them behind. But here's the mistake almost everyone makes. They assume buying the most talked about AI stock is the opportunity. It isn't. That's usually where the crowd arrives. The real question is, where does all this money have to go next? Every major technological revolution creates layers of opportunity. At the top, everyone sees the flashy products. Underneath are the businesses providing the infrastructure, the software, the cybersecurity, the data centers, the semiconductor supply chains, and the tools that make the entire system possible. Those businesses often receive far less attention, while benefiting from the same long-term trend. Imagine showing up to a gold rush. Everyone is fighting over tiny gold flakes in the river. Meanwhile, someone nearby is quietly selling the shovels, the maps, and the food. Guess who sleeps better at night? The lesson isn't to avoid innovation. It's to think one layer deeper than everyone else. This is called second-order thinking. Most investors ask, what's popular today? Disciplined investors ask, what becomes essential if today's trend continues for the next decade? That single shift changes everything. Instead of reacting emotionally, you begin building a framework that works whether markets are booming or headlines are screaming about the next crash, because markets reward patience far more often than prediction. And here's something most people in their 20s underestimate. Your biggest financial advantage isn't having the perfect portfolio. It's having time. A 25-year-old who consistently invests in high-quality assets for the next 20 years has something that billionaires cannot buy more of: time. That's why waiting for the perfect moment is often the most expensive decision you'll ever make. Every year spent hesitating is a year your investments aren't compounding. Every year spent chasing hype is a year you're not building a durable foundation. The greatest wealth opportunity in 2026 isn't hidden because it's secret. It's hidden because it's boring. It looks like learning, saving consistently, investing systematically, thinking independently. Most people scroll past those ideas because they aren't exciting. But wealth has never cared about being entertaining. It cares about discipline. And discipline compounds just like money does. But there's one final piece almost nobody talks about. Even if you find incredible opportunities, even if you invest in the right trends, one invisible habit can quietly destroy your returns for years without you noticing. And once you understand this final lesson, you'll see why the biggest wealth opportunity in 2026 isn't something you buy. It's the person you become. So what's the invisible habit that quietly destroys more wealth than bad investments? It's not choosing the wrong stock. It's constantly changing direction. Most people never give a good decision enough time to become a great result. They invest, then panic after a few months. They start a budget, then abandon it after one unexpected expense. They build a long-term plan, then throw it away because someone on social media claims they've found the next 100x opportunity. And every time they reset their compounding. Think about planting an oak tree. You wouldn't dig it up every weekend to check if the roots are growing. Yet that's exactly how many people treat their investments. Imagine hiring a personal trainer and quitting after your second workout because you don't have six-pack abs yet. Sounds ridiculous, right? Yet investors do the financial version of that all the time. Here's what separates wealth builders from wealth chasers. Wealth chasers are obsessed with outcomes. Wealth builders are obsessed with systems. One asks, how much money did I make this month? The other asks, did I make another decision that my future self will thank me for? That difference seems small. Over 10 years, it's life-changing. Because the biggest wealth opportunity left in 2026 isn't a loophole. It isn't a hidden stock. It isn't some exclusive investment only billionaires know about. It's the widening gap between people who develop financial discipline and people who stay trapped in financial distraction. For the first time in history, every financial lesson you could ever need is available within seconds. Books, podcasts, annual reports, investor letters, educational videos. The information has never been more accessible, but attention has never been more fragmented. That's the real scarcity. Not money, attention. The people who can focus, learn continuously, ignore short-term noise, and consistently invest in their future are becoming increasingly rare. And rare behavior creates uncommon results. Think about where you'll be 5 years from now. One version of you spends every year reacting to headlines, wondering why wealth always seems to belong to someone else. The other quietly builds knowledge, invests consistently, makes fewer emotional decisions, improves a little every month. Those two lives begin in exactly the same place. But they don't end there. Every decision you make today is casting a vote for the person you'll become tomorrow. And eventually, those votes become your financial reality. If this video leaves you with one idea, let it be this. The biggest wealth opportunity in 2026 isn't hidden from you because someone else is keeping a secret. It's hidden because most people are looking for excitement, when wealth usually rewards patience. They're searching for shortcuts. When the greatest returns often come from consistency, they're trying to predict the future instead of preparing for it. Markets will rise, markets will fall, new technologies will appear. Old industries will disappear, but one principle has survived every generation. The people who think independently, learn relentlessly, and let time work in their favor almost always end up ahead. The opportunity is still here. The question is, will you recognize it before everyone else does? Or will you only believe it after it's obvious? Before you click away, if this changed how you think about building wealth, there's one investment opportunity that perfectly demonstrates the framework we discussed today. Instead of asking, is this stock popular? We ask a far better question. Does the market understand its long-term potential? In the next video, we break down a little-known AI company trading for around 5 per share and evaluate it using the exact decision-making process you've learned today, not hype, not speculation, but a disciplined investing framework. Click the video on your screen now. Is this $5 AI stock the market's most overlooked AI bet? I'll see you there.